on tangibly on paper. Start writing them out. You can't be lazy. Start writing out these fasts so that you will hold yourself to doing them. Because some of y'all, you got family members, they in a whole different realm than you when it comes to fasting. That's a 7. You got family members that are so far from fasting, it's like a whole different country. It's like a whole different country. You start talking about fasting, it's a foreign language. But Jesus Christ, the Messiah, born in Bethlehem, raised in Nazareth, he fasted. Moses fasted. All the great prophets of God, David fasted. It's a adventure for true spiritual people. I don't understand people that don't like doing it. It's a true spiritual adventure. You'll be amazed at what happens when you do it. You got to get books on it. You got to watch messages on it. I recommend getting books on it. That's what I did when I was younger in my walk with God. I got books on it, and it inspired me. I would recommend getting this book called Fasting: The Keys to the Impossible. It's a nice little book, and it shows this guy. He's a military guy, I think from Australia. And he has a fasting journal, and he tells you each day what he's doing. Now, this is at the end of the book. He writes a whole book on fastings, on the subject of fasting. So at the end of the book, though, he gives you a whole journal of days of fasting and how he felt and everything. It was so interesting to me. This is what ignited my fire for fasting. This book. So I recommend. I will actually put a link in the this video about in this concerning this book on fastings and this book called Fasting: The Key to the Impossible. This is what's going to get it done. This is what's going to get you the breakthroughs that you have. Like I told you, I have fast already in 2025. I'm already in 2025 spiritually. So see, this also stops warfare, and God comes mightily on your behalf because you're diligent. You're one of his servants. You already got fast in 2025. He will crush anybody in your way that's playing with you. He will crush them. You're diligent. You're seeking his face. You're already in 2025 seeking his face. That part. If you do not become diligent about your fasting and your giving and your worshiping it and praying in the Holy Ghost, if you do not become diligent about this, you're going to be, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what I would do without fasting, worshiping, praising, and giving. I don't know what I don't know where I would be. Because see, the thing about giving is, and here it is for people that may be struggling with vices. You might still be smoking. You might still be smoking weed. You might still be drinking on the weekend. You might still be, sexing and everything like that. I'm seasoned. I'm seasoned in this spiritual walk. I know what's going to pull you out of that. You have to start giving. You're fasting. You may be too weak to fast because when you're doing those vices and you're drinking and you're smoking, your human side is going to fight against that. You're not going to be diligent about prayer either. You're not going to be diligent about going into God's presence and when you smoking and drinking and sexing on the weekend. So what you have to first start doing is giving to God's work when you're living that kind of lifestyle. Okay? This, and listen to this very closely, because you're giving into a spiritual work of God, and that's a holy work. So you're giving into a place that you're not, and your seed, the money that you're giving, is drawing you into that place. 7. That's a 7. So your giving draws you into it like a magnet, into a deeper place in God, where people, where you can't possibly get on your own. It's very powerful. The people the ministries you're giving into, these people are loving people. They're worshiping, they're praising God, they're living a holy life, and you give into that while you're smoking and drinking and everything like that. And it's going to pull you into a more spiritual place, because where you're giving into. See, all these other preachers try to tell you, well, you know what you need to do. You need to fast. You need to read the Bible. And you're dealing with those drugs, and you're dealing with the weed, and you do. Now, I don't tell you that. As a spiritual counselor, let's say in that position, counseling you spiritually, and from my spiritual experience, seasoned as I am, you're not going to have the physical or spiritual strength to do all these things you need to do as a Christian. Fasting, you're not going to be able to do that. Worshiping and praising, you're not going to really be able to do that when you're smoking and drinking and you having sex. You're not going to be able to do it. Let's just say, okay, you backslid, right? Let's just say you backslid, right? Let's just say you backslid, okay? Now, as you backslid, you got all these vices. You smoke, you drink, you turn up on the weekend, you have a sex, you might even be doing some crimes. But now you have to you're trying to get back into a spiritual place. You're trying to get back into a place where you're worshiping, where you're praising God, where you're giving, where you're fasting. Now imagine how hard that's going to be. So the first thing that's the easiest to do is just give. That's kind of easy to do. It may hurt a little bit. Now trust me, there's some spiritual warfare with that. You'll think about all the things you could be doing, especially when you got vices. That could be a pack of cigarettes. That could be a blunt of weed. That could be a little pint of vodka. That could be some Lucy's from the corner store. The flesh is going your flesh is going to start telling you all these things. Well, that could be, that could be a burger. That could be a hot dog and a burger. You got the munchies. You could go get some food with that. But you got all the food you want. You just want something delicious. You got food. You just want something delicious because you got the munchies. And see, it's that little $3 that could be like the beginning of you starting a field. Listen to this closely. A field that will bring harvests, more than one, back onto your life. And what I noticed when you first start giving, blessings don't come first. Yeah, I know preachers don't tell you this part. From my seasoned experience as a spiritual veteran, the first thing that happens when you start giving, which this is what you should want, this is the punchline, you start getting spiritual strength. You start getting more empowered spiritually over your vices. So when you first start giving, hear me good. When you first start giving to ministries, big ministries, remember what I told you, the big ones are the special little ones. When you start giving to ministries like that, the first harvest you're going to get is not a car. You're not going to get a leather jacket. You're not going to get new shoes. The first thing God is going to see the need to give you is spiritual strength. But see, that's not a popular message. That's why a lot of preachers don't tell you like that. And they season, they know that's the first thing happen. Maybe some of them don't know because they've been Christians the whole time. They don't know that they've had spiritual strength, so that when they give, the blessings come. So maybe it takes some people that done backslid like me before to tell you the first thing gonna happen when you start giving is spiritual strength. Because you a little bit lower than where you should be. So you're gonna get the spiritual strength like you need to do what I'm telling you to do, to make it in these last times when you first start giving. That's the first thing you need to start doing. I did it when I was in total sin and darkness. When I was in total sin and darkness, I was cash apping ministries. It was something I didn't tell people, the person I was around. I didn't tell them that. We was in total darkness. Smoking, drinking, turning up. But I was doing this was because I want to be close to the Lord for real. Even when I had it good, I had money, obviously. But I want to be close to the Lord for real. Right? That's what I wanted. That's what my love, the Lord is my love. That's why my heart is at. Okay? So I started giving while I'm drinking. My needs are met. I'm eating good. Everything like that. Doing whatever I want to do. Get whatever I really want. But I'm still needing the Lord. Right? But I got all these vices. So I can't fast through it. You know, I'm drinking. I'm turning up. I'm smoking all the time. I'm sexing all the time. So how I'm a fast and then worship and then, come on now. But so the first thing I recommend anybody that's backsliding and you coming back and you trying to get into that place back with the Lord, the first thing you need to do, because I know you still got vices, I know you still do things, I know you still watch porn, I know you do all these things. You know why I know? Because I went through it. So the first thing you got to do, you can't be trying to fast for 3 days like I'm telling you to do. You ain't going to be able to do it. And there's probably I'm pretty sure there's probably some spiritual darkness around you that's going to try to prevent you in some type of form or fashion. The most dangerous weapon in that case when you're backsliding, or even a young Christian, you're young, you're young to the Lord. You may be older, but you came to the Lord when you was young and you really just kind of stopped your spiritual walk. And now you're back back with the Lord. And now you're trying to really grow. But you got all these vices and things you've been doing for years. You've been partying for years. You've been turning up for years. And older people are the hardest cases to work on because you so used to drinking, and on the weekend you so used to smoking, you so used to having sex. You know what it feels like. You know what it can feel like. You know what it is to go down to the store and just turn up. You know what it is to get money when your money hit and just turn up. You know what you're gonna do. You get the money, boom. I'm gonna give me a pack of cigarettes. First thing you're gonna do. You're gonna get you a pack of cigarettes, maybe a beer. Right there at the same store. And then if you know somebody that you can call, you're gonna call them tomorrow probably. And you got the whole show going on. You so used to, as older people, you're so used to knowing how to turn up. It's so hard for you to get free. Because in the back of your mind, while you even doing spiritual things, you thinking about the turn up. You're thinking about the turn up. So the best thing you can do, I recommend, even though you might go on a fast, that's great if you can do it. If you can spend time in worship, that's great if you can do it. Reading your Bible, you should do that. You definitely should do that. I recommend reading Proverbs because there's 31 Proverbs. You can read one a day. You don't have to read the whole Bible in a day, you know, and it's a good consistent discipline to have. You can start over every month. If you don't read nothing else, you can read the book of Proverbs. You get there's 31 of them, so you can read whatever day it is. You read that proverb. If you fall off, you know, and you start the 15th, the 17th, the 18th, then read Proverb 18 when you come back to reading the Word. Boom, it's one chapter. You're gonna get something from it. It's not like reading the whole Bible or certain parts of the Bible where they talking about, well, this servant begot this kids and this, and you ain't getting nothing from it. Proverbs, each chapter you're gonna get something from it. Each one of them, trust me on that. Trust me on that. If you're not reading anything in the Bible and you're confused about what to read to get something from it, Proverbs is a book that each chapter you're going to get something. You're going to get wisdom. You're going to get knowledge. You're going to get information. You're going to get all of that from it. Okay? But you gotta start giving. In the age where we live in Cash Apping, it's perfect. See, back when I was a Christian, we didn't have Cash App. When I first became a Christian, we didn't have no Cash App. If you had a debit card, okay, but back then it was more like bank cards. You banked with a certain, that credit cards wasn't even plentiful like that. And most people just didn't have them. Now, because Cash App cards are free, everybody got Cash Apps. It's a whole new day with that, with transactions. And the ministries have Cash Apps. So it works perfect. It's one thing to have a Cash App, but the ministry don't. So Cash App is a very good platform, I guess you could say, to make these spiritual transactions, which you need to make. And like I said, if it's $1 you give, $2, I'm talking about if it's $1, you ain't got number 150. Please give that. Don't wait till you got $5 trying to make some, or $100 trying to make some grand give offering. You are in spiritual warfare. Any dollar that you give is an attack. You have no idea what that does because you don't have nothing else. So with that $1, it's also you giving your all. It's energy behind that too. Think about what I'm saying. There's energy behind giving your all. Don't underestimate the power of giving your all. God looks at that. You got $20 left. That's all you got to your name, and you give that to the kingdom of God. God looks at that. While some people think, well, that ain't nothing. Your enemies think that ain't nothing. That's $20. But God looks at the fact that that's your last. And so they get attacked. Heavy. Boom. Okay? I'm trying to show you the foundation in these final hours, what you got to do because of, that patty cake, Christian, basic stuff that people been telling you over the decades and years, that ain't working for people because times are more darker and people are falling more consistently and frequently. And so with people falling more frequently and people relapsing on drugs more frequently, it's telling people to fast and pray, worship at the beginning is not the wisest decision. They got to get up to that. They got to work up to it. I've been through this too many times. I know how this works. And the first thing you need to do is give into a holy place. Give into a place where you are not. You're giving into a holy ministry, a work of God. It's not the work of the preacher, it's the work of God. It's like a machine. You're giving into that machine. And when you give into that and you're not in the right place, I'm telling you, spiritual stuff is going to start happening all around you. And first, it's going to happen to you. That's the first thing I'm telling you. It's real. It's going to happen to your mind, your heart, your soul. And you're going to keep cash snapping them $2 and $3 after your DoorDash order. That's exactly what I did. I was living in total darkness. Let's put it like this. I was not living in a Christian environment at all. At all. But I am a Christian. So what are you to do in that situation? Many of you have been in that situation yourself. And when you are, you need to get you a free Cash App card. If you ain't got one, it's free. All you gotta do is go online, go use your phone and download the Cash App, and you will get a free card in a matter of a couple weeks. If at latest. It's usually probably coming like a week time or something like that. Week and a half, something like that. Okay. And then you need to start cash apping, putting money on it. Certain places you could put money on it. Some places that it's not sophisticated where you can put money on it. But find a place to put money, cash money on it, and start giving, or even connect it to your job if you can. I'm sure you can. It has a routing number, so you can connect your paycheck. You can give your boss the information, the routing number information, all that. And you can connect your Cash App card to your bank account. I mean, to your money that you work for, your 9 to 5, and it will drop in your Cash App. Okay, and I'm telling you, you need to start giving out of that. You're going to be free. You're going to notice the spiritual power, everything. The strength to do the right thing is going to be so much easier. You're going to come out of it. And what I did in that situation, so you want to hear the end of the story of that situation, where I was just totally in a non-Christian atmosphere and I kept giving and giving and giving. I started listening to Christian messages. I just started changing. I started enjoying it again. I started enjoying spiritual things again because I started giving the little money left off of my DoorDash orders. That's literally what I did. Any change left over, $2, $3, boom. And I start changing. And then eventually I came out of that whole atmosphere. Now, because I was so deep in darkness, I had a void place. That void place, I was homeless. I was in a void. I was in darkness so deep. And many of you will be in that situation. Sometimes will be in that situation. You are in a void place where you don't have nothing because you've left darkness. That's all you was cultivating for years, for months and months. So you don't have nothing else but darkness. So when you leave darkness, there's a void. There's an emptiness. And sometimes that may lead you to the streets. It may lead you to a family member's house where you have to depend on somebody else. And you don't got nothing. But you're out of the atmosphere. You're out of the environment. Okay? So that's what happened with me. I started giving when I was in that dark atmosphere. I started enjoying spiritual messages like I once did. And then ultimately, I just came out of the whole atmosphere. I just came out the whole atmosphere. That was not with me fasting. Listen to what I'm saying. That was not with me worshiping for 3 hours consistently. I was doing no spiritual things like that consistently. I was not reading the Bible consistently. I was just giving. Each weapon has its strength. And that's like based, like I said, based on your physical weakness and your spiritual weakness, you're not going to be able to do all these things. And all you're going to do is get frustrated and walk away totally and ignore it. You're going to ignore it totally because you're not physically and spiritually able to do it. So you're going to start ignoring those things, the spiritual things. So I'm telling you, the best discipline is get what you need, right? Your little food, your little orders, your little things you go out in the world, go out in the streets and buy. Whatever you buy, I don't care what you buying. Buying liquor, you're buying a pack of cigarettes. Whatever you buying, when you finish doing all of that, cash app a powerful ministry. The rest, if that's $2, $3, cash app them that. That's $5, cash app them that. Whatever is left over. And keep doing that consistently. That's your beginning for backsliding Christians and even weak, beginners. And you came to the Lord, but then you're still dealing with stuff and you kind of messed up in the beginning. Start giving into holy ministries, and that's going to draw you to a deeper, holier place with God. Okay? These are the one-on-ones, guys. It's the one-on-one in spiritual warfare. This is from my experiences. I just shared an experience with you. Now, you guys that are on track, your spirit is good, you're in the Word of God. You know, you got a little prayer time going on, you got a little fast time going on. For the most part, you're on track. Now, for you, you need to take it to the next level. Okay? Because these spirits and things that's out here, in these times now that we live in, 2022, you have witches and warlocks at an all-time high in America. And for you, the black community, the African American community, for you guys that don't know, who are oblivious to the situation, there are witches, African American witches, African American warlocks. It's you think that's white. I'm gonna be 100 when I say this. I'm not being racist. You think that's a white thing. You think it's white people that's into witchcraft because of the pagan denomination of witchcraft, because how that's popular and all of that with the rock music and how that goes together. You think it's white people that's into witchcraft. Okay? African Americans are into witchcraft in 2022 more than ever. Just go on YouTube and see for yourself. That's all you gotta do. They look just like you. They wear hip hop clothes. They wear, fitteds. They wear, shades and hoodies and all of that. They're not walking around looking strange. Okay, that's what you got to know. And you need to know that your African American community is heavily. This is another thing preachers ain't telling you. They heavily into witchcraft. I know because I seen it. I'm not telling you something I ain't seen. I can smell a witch. I can smell a warlock. I know how they act. I know how they move. Okay? You got Hispanics and Latinos. They into it too. See, African American, there's different denominations. Listen to me closely. With witchcraft, there's different denominations of witchcraft. For white people, you may have pagans. You may have just witches, warlocks that just practice their stuff with. They may have a coven that they practice with, or there's two type of individuals: those who practice with a coven, those who practice individually. Okay, a lot of white people, they go with the covens and are individually. Okay, black people, African Americans, Africans period, they go with voodoo. They go with hoodoo. Now that's two different things. I know they sound familiar because the latter is a play on, or to compare itself to voodoo. Hoodoo with an Hoodoo. Okay? You got voodoo and hoodoo among African Americans. I'm telling you what's going on. Now, whether you believe in it or not, it does not affect the realness of it. That's American philosophy. Well, I don't really believe in it. No, or if I don't believe it, it's not real. Unfortunately, it's real whether you believe in it or not. Okay? So in the African American community, voodoo and hoodoo is very popular.